Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to you, and
Afternoon
welcome
to
to
all.
IMU. My name is Linda. I'm here to welcome you to the dialogue with Dr. Nicole. She is going to introduce the career as a professional counselor in Malaysia. And Dr. Nicole is a registered and licensed counselor who has been practicing for more than 19 years, going to 20 this year. And she is also the program director of IMU Master of Counseling. As you are aware that all your microphones has been muted, yeah, and please direct all your questions and feedbacks to the chat box. Without further ado, I will invite Dr. Nicole to the stage.
Thank you so much, Linda. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Really good to see all of you here. And I also got to know numbers of my peers who are already a registered counselor also attend this session. So really appreciate for your support and participation. And it's a learning process for all of us. Yeah, and okay, without further ado, I'll quickly go to my today's session. So I spent around 20 minutes to talk about our session, and then we'd like to cater more time for the Q&A session. So you do have questions to ask to, just like what Dr. Linda said. Yeah, you put into the chat, and then Dr. Linda later will present it to me, and then I'll try to answer as much as possible. Thanks again, everyone. Actually feeling very honored today because I heard a lot of people had registered for today's session, though we actually sent out a very short notification. So it's a very honored experience for me. So hopefully it will be a meaningful session to you all. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm lady in the field as a counselor for more than 20 years. Yeah, going to 20 years. So it's, yes, feeling a little bit old. But so today's sharing is not just about sharing information that you needed to know, but it's also sharing about my personal experience as a counselor and how today's sharing can help to facilitate you a better direction if you plan to pursue into this career as a professional counselor in this country. Okay, if you look into here, yeah, I actually did some search into the numbers of registered counsellors present in this country. So we actually started this licensing in 1998 when the Act actually came out. The Counsellor Act came out in 1998, and that's where the ball rolling started to this particular counselor status, where the counsellor will be recognized as a professional field in this country and being identified as a registered counsellor as a professional field. So you look into from start in year 2016 to 2020, the numbers of the counsellor, the growth is quite small. So you can see till today, we're still far behind achieve this 11,000. Yeah, 11,000 of expectation, yeah, of the government wanted to actually produce 11,000 counsellors to serve the country population, which we are targeting 1 counsellor ratio for 2,945 people. And presently we have around 1 to 5,000. You can see it's like it's still a far journey for us to filling up this particular gap. So therefore, to need to have counsellor, especially dealing with crisis situation that happening to this our country, actually counsellor play a very important role. You can see the number are not going fast, yeah. So we hope more effort will be putting in by a lot of private university as well, private institute, to actually produce more counsellor to fulfill this number target by the government. So a quick one, just to introduce you a little bit information or history about counselling field in Malaysia. Yeah, as I mentioned to you, Act started in 1998. But actually before the Act started, we already have this Persatuan Council in Malaysia, or we call PERKAMA. They actually are the one who are advocating to have this Act of Counsellor Act and therefore proceed into the licensing. So actually PERKAMA put in a lot of effort to advocate for this one. And today PERKAMA have renamed, called us PERKAMA International, because they actually organize quite numbers of international activity as well. They are considered an NGO advocating for the field of counselor. Okay, and if looking to Counsellor Act, we already have Counsellor Act in 1998, and the Act still not much changes unless except the imposing 2017 in terms of the fee charge, that we start to have updated information about how much you can charge as a consultant, as a counsellor. So that was updated, and if I'm not wrong, it was came out in 2017. So that's why we now have a better guideline in terms of the fee consultation we actually can charge. So I just want to quickly go through with all of you. Counselor is not only mental health professional in this country. We actually have numbers of helping professions who also working very hard to serve this country. So we have counselor, of course, we also have clinical psychologists, we also have psychiatric. So directly these three are the mental health professionals are actively serving, but we do have social worker as well, but I think included them due to we have still a very small population of social worker in this country, what we call the qualified social worker. So we look into a duty and role, that actually the differences between the mental health professional, between counsellor, clinical psychologist and psychiatric. So what are the different? So for those who are very new to counselling field, so that help you to have a little bit idea what is different between this field. So for counsellor, here you can see we help individual, group, family explore, resolve issue or difficult and impact their life. So we actually look into helping family, individuals and group in the form of managing their daily issue as well, grief. Example, recently, movement control order have caused a lot of grief, grievances, experiencing by Malaysians. Some have lost job, some lose businesses, some had to rebuild everything again after 1 month plus, and how impactful that until 1 month impact toward a lot of our Malaysian people in this country. So therefore, the counsellor plays a significant role to provide support for those who are going to grief. So therefore, I highlighted to a lot of my peers who are in the field in serving, please prepare yourself. More grief cases will be coming in, because we do see that such, I would say, Malaysian, I'll be asking help to provide support. And we also have clinical psychologists, and we look to clinical psychologists compared to counselor. We can see a difference here. Clinical psychology do assess, diagnose, treat mental, emotional, behavior disorder. So clinical psychologists, one of their forte is focused into mental illness cases, which is not something that technically are not so much into the population of people that the counsellor is serving. So counsellors serve people who are highly functioning, but have difficulty in managing stress. But clinical psychologists are very specific trained into this area to actually provide support to people who are suffering with mental illnesses. They also provide individual, family, as well group psychotherapy as well. And now we come to psychiatric. So what makes psychiatric different? To become a psychiatric in Malaysia, the journey is much more longer. You needed to complete your MBBS, and after MBBS, you needed to go into your compulsory attachment with the hospital. The journey just to become a medical doctor in Malaysia will take 7 to 8 years. And after that, when you go to the what we call psychological medicine program to become a specialist, and therefore you can become a psychiatric. And the difference between psychiatric with counselor and clinical psychologist, the psychiatric will be able to prescribe medication. So counselor, clinical psychologists in this country are not allowed to prescribe medication. So this one had to be very clear. Whenever come into patient needed medication, only psychiatric will be referring the case to the psychiatric. We often their role will be assessing, diagnosing as well, provide medical intervention. So they're actually the expert in medication to provide certain medication to managing mental illnesses. However, we do have few of our psychiatric in this country do provide psychotherapy. Though this number is small, but quite numbers of them actually doing that. Okay. Though I actually say that there's differences between the psychologist as well, the counselor as well, the psychiatric, but I also want you to know that there is also overlapping of the role of these mental health professional. Example, coming to intervention and treatment. So you look into the continuum models that I fall into here. Most of the time, counselors serve these categories of patient, or we call client, the healthy client, and who have experienced distress. And sometimes, for those who are very senior counsel, they do attend to client who have impairment. Yeah, can be emotional impairment, can be some form of minor depression, anxiety cases. So counselors do take up these cases, but you can see most of the time you fall into these two categories. So therefore, as a counselor, we do provide treatment intervention, yeah, but we fall into this category. Compared with clinical psychologists, they will be able to serve better in this category, the injured category. But those who are really severe in cases in terms of mental illnesses, that's where we're involving the psychiatric. They will need medication to help them to balance up the chemical chain in the brain. Therefore, they were able to function better, and later they were able to, yeah, come back. And then that's where it may, sometimes the psychiatric do refer back this case, especially when clients get well, to the counselor to follow up, to provide support. So you can see that intervention, we do work closely with different fields to provide the need. Another one, the approaches used. Some students did share with me, you know, why Dr. Nicole, counselors also use this approach, psychiatrists use this approach, in example, cognitive behavior therapy, yeah, or psychologists use this approach. So we do use similar approaches and provide support to the client, yeah, but intensity for the cases will be a little bit different. Therefore, the intensity in applying this particular technique also very different, yeah. Okay, so we also do assessment. So in terms of assessment part, you can see that counselor, psychologists, psychiatrists do assessment. But again, the intensity will be very different. The clinical psychologists as well, the psychiatric will be doing a lot of the mental health related clinical assessment. For the counselor, we'll do a lot into like career assessment, interest assessment, personality assessment. Will be help our client who may need guidance, especially in terms of career and pathway, you know, to help themselves. Okay, so I hope that helped you to see the overlapping of the role. So we are not trying to say that counselor can handle anything that can handle by the clinical psychologist, and we are not here saying that clinical psychologists handle any cases in the counselor role to do. So actually what we can see, we do see the overlapping, but the important to highlighting why we need to come together to provide the support needed to the client that we are serving. So you can see here, the intensity are a little bit different. So you see, counselor often play this role. We provide a lot of guidance. So example, if client come to here, focus into, oh, I do not know what to do, I'm career, I'm a bit lost, and I just hope to have some guidance. So the counselor will play a lot of role into provide guidance, yeah, information gathering, psychoeducation. But when we have group of clients who is really feeling not just lost in the career, but find even difficult to actually initiate conversation or difficult to initiate relationship, improving their relationship, facing a lot of distress at work and family, that's where counseling come in, yeah. But for some cases where we call the involving the psychotherapy, example, I do came across cases that clients are unable to sleep, unable to eat, yeah, and have been going on for a few months, and we have to provide more than just a counseling. So for such cases, therefore, I normally involve clinical psychologists and psychiatric assist them to provide support. In such cases, you need more than just counseling. Therefore, we work closely together with clinical psychology and psychiatric to provide support to client with medication plus psychotherapy. So you can see the level of intensity difference, yeah. So a quick one, so what is counseling? Yeah, so basically it's a therapeutic process that occurs when a client and counselor set aside time, especially come into life challenges, distress. So therefore the counselor role is to assist, yeah, the client to look into this issue and help them to managing this distress and life challenges. And therefore they can adjust much better. Okay. We also help client try to see a scenario. You know, I think all of you do came across experience when we have a situation that are so distressed, can be due to family issue, due to work issue, and we're just feeling so lost, we do not know what to do. So as a counselor, our role is to help them to bring this problem that presented to us to be more clearer, so they understand what's going on. Because when we are distressed, we are overwhelming with a lot of intense emotion, anxiety, worry, fear, scared. So our role as a counselor is to help them put this emotion slowly aside and try to see the issue that's going on. Therefore, they can see the whole case or the whole problem they face a much more clearer perspective. And therefore, they were able to move on how to go about to help themselves. And we often look into more coping mechanism, that healthy coping mechanism, and we also try to facilitate positive change as well. Yeah, and another very important aspect which keep highlighting a lot of my slide, the working alliance with the client. So it's very important. You are not here to just become an expert for your client, but you are here to build a good alliance relationship with your client, where your client can fully trust you, and therefore she or he can be vulnerable but yet strong enough to step back, step up to help themselves. Yeah, so that's what very important as a working alliance. So we put a lot of effort for you in the counseling training, put a lot of effort to train the counselor to learn how to build a strong working alliance. Okay, so counseling is not an advice. Yeah, so of course can be a little bit confused, like it's not advice, but guidance and advice. Advice in our standpoint here is you specifically expecting your client to do certain way and solving their problem rather than facilitating the whole process together with them. So giving advice is not something we're looking for in this session. We actually journey together with our client and looking into what's going on and provide the guidance needed so client have an informed choice. Okay, I know if I make this choice, I will have this. I'll make these consequences, I'll face these consequences. So they make a very consent choice for it. But giving advice means that you specifically addressing this is the only way to solve a problem, you have to follow this exactly. So we are not giving advice in counseling. Now, we are not attempting to sort it out all the problem client face, and we really believe that each client have their own capacity and resources to solve their own problem, but they just need someone like a facilitator to help them to see their strength and their resources, and therefore they have clearer direction how to go about to make and solve this problem. And we never expected our client to be as a counselor because we went through so many years of training, working experiences. We cannot expect a client to not have any training, yeah, to behave like you, okay, as a counselor. So therefore, very important for you to be mindful about that. Counseling is not an expectation. Get our client to become a counselor. Okay, so of course, some will be asked how to become a counselor in Malaysia. So this is the rules, yeah, I wanted to share with all of you. Very clear cut in Malaysia. You needed to earn a 3 or 4 years bachelor degree in counseling or counseling psychology from a fully accredited program in Malaysia. So when accredited mean the MQA means Malaysia Quality Assurance. So they're a group of professional body who actually assisting monitoring all the education program in this country. So it can be a degree in counseling or counseling psychology, or you can opt to earn a 2 or 4 years master degree counseling program or counseling psychology program, also fully accredited, yeah, by MQA. And the final one, you will have to register. So when you completed a degree program or a master program, where fulfill the expectation of the board of counselor. So it's very important for you to ensure that the program they enroll, it fulfill what the board of counselor expected. Therefore, you're able to get yourself to be licensed. Yeah, because I do came across a lot of cases. I'm feeling really, really sad about it. But that's really the fact that we have to face that a lot of among our peer, mental health professional peer, who actually went to overseas and they come home and then they realize that they couldn't register become as a registered counselor to the board of counselor. Why? Because the curriculum structures program that they attended in overseas, example from UK and US, actually certain part of the university didn't fulfill certain requirement expected from the Board of Counsel of Malaysia. UK, Australia, even Singapore, numbers of the university that offer Master of Counseling program actually did not fulfill the requirements set by Board of Counselors. So it's really sad after they spend so much money and energies and time in overseas and come home, they couldn't register as a licensing counselor in this country. But it's very important for you to do some research before you enroll to any counseling program. Okay, here is one of the key aspects I needed to highlight for all of you because I think it's important, yeah, to be mindful about it. As I mentioned that yes, you can actually have a degree in counseling or counseling psychology or a master to become a licensing counselor. But I also want to share with the reality and what expected in a professional counselor today. And this is the experience that I have came across with working with my peer who are very generous, sharing their knowledge and experience with me. And therefore, I can share today's session with all of you. We have come to the state in this country because we are lacking of counselor, lacking of psychologists and psychiatric in this country. Therefore, we cannot avoid the concept of cooperative effort. So mean that as a counselor, you have to work not just with your client, but you also have to work with other professionals. Just like this particular symbols I stay here, indicated here. So all these mental health professionals have to come together to actually work closely together to provide the support needed. Because we have came across many cases. Example, I'm actually as a counselor who focus a lot on serving couples and family. So I do came across cases where a family sharing, oh, my son is having depression. I do not know what's going on. I try to help, but I couldn't help. Therefore, I'm sending my son to see you. Okay, so it seemed the depression case, I will have to need the support from the psychologist as well as the psychiatric because it's severe depression. But as a counselor, I also work with the family to get to know what happened in the family caused this child become depressed. So you can see how unavoidable for us to avoid not working together with each other. So it's very important to understand the concept cooperative effort. So you have to understand everyone needed to work closely together with the other mental health professional, to able to provide the support needed to the client. Because nowadays client dynamic cases are very dynamic, and we also came across many suicidal cases, and we have so limited clinical psychologists in this country. So therefore, the counsellor someone had to step up to able to provide support to suicidal cases. That's why working closely with different helping professions become a key, crucial point. So today, if you are very new to this concept, I want to give you this challenge as well to initiate networking with different helping professions, because that is the way to go to provide the support needed. Okay, so when we have this professional collaborative practice, that's where when we design our intervention program, we can actually cater not only to the client, cater to the client family, and even cater to the community that we're working closely together. So you can see here, I explain multiple mental health providers from different professional backgrounds work together and provide, deliver highest quality of care, and therefore a lot of our client will be able to get the maximum best benefit out of these processes. Okay. All right, so you can see here, quickly you can go to the mentors. As I mentioned to all of you, we actually serve in different categories on intensity of the cases. Therefore, working closely together with different helping professions, it will bring us this support, to each other. So as I mentioned, there are cases that sometimes psychiatric have give a medical treatment, and then after half a year to 1 year, clients are doing really, really well. And that's where they will refer the case back to us. Okay, and that's where counselors start to take back such cases again, and we provide support needed, get them to be initiate relationship in their work environment, as well get them to build their good relationship with their family. So all these aspects actually come together. And again, when client have relapse or depression come back again, and that's where we refer cases again to the psychologist as well the psychiatric. So you can see how all these things play a part. It's a working relationship we can't avoid. We have to work closely together. Okay, so what are the aspects as well that I wanted to share with all of you? Counselor with specialization. And this is something that we cannot avoid. We have come to this year because 1998, counseling field become a very professional field, and now already how many years? Really come more than 20 plus years. We cannot no longer just expect as a counselor, you just get your general master counseling program or degree, you'll be accepted by the community to provide support, because the dynamic of the cases become very different. Yeah, therefore, it's important for you to equip yourself with some specialization skill. So it's in an expectation now, you have to have very competent specific skill to support unique groups such as couple, family, crisis cases, trauma, and even LGBTQ community as well. I do came across a lot of young counselors like to spend a lot of money for training, and I'll propose to you here, don't simply spend all this money, because ideally, I would like you to focus one area, because that's how you'll be the expectation of the counselor nowadays. And also, don't Malaysia recognize as a degree in counseling as qualified to become licensed counselor, but among my MHP peer, mental health peer, the expectation is to have a minimum with master counseling or counseling psychology recognized by LKM. So it's quite common now. People are expected not just a degree, but more than that, they expect a master. And this is also very important to have knowledge, maturity, and resilience in dealing with different cases as well, especially in mental health related cases. Okay. And here, have practical experiences with close supervision is also one of the things that have been highlighted the past few years. You can have a very experienced counselor, but you do not have very because solid training or solid experience in supervision. That also will cause a lot of question mark among the peer whether you are qualified as a counselor. So I highlighted a few of the expected as a professional counselor nowadays. Okay. So here, a quick one, last slide, I wanted to share with you. So if you work as a counselor, so what are the places that you can start working? Of course, you can opt to decide as become business owners, setting up your own private clinic or private counseling center. But I always advise, do not do alone. Always have a group of people doing together, because working alone can be very draining. And we have a lot of counselors also working in medical institution, hospital clinic like myself. Personally, I serve in IMU Healthcare Clinic as a counselor there. So you can actually work in clinic as well, hospital. And one of the very common field that counselor also serve is university, college, and school, which is compulsory requirement by the MQA. Therefore, a lot of counselors end up become school counselor, university counselor, or college counselor. And of course, you can actually become, the private counseling, become a private practitioner. So example, you may not have budget to open your own business, but you decided to serve as a private practitioner. Okay. And of course, you can also consider become a social enterprise. Enterprise, where you provide social enterprise businesses to serve the community. And human resources, consultant firm, training center, child center, and community center as well. So there's many other places, area that actually you can serve as a counselor. Okay, I used more than 25 minutes to my presentation. I think it's time for me to open up to Q&A session. Thank you so much for your attention. So I pass the stage to Linda to facilitate and present the questions asked.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, so I would like to hear Dennis Su. Yeah, she asked a question here. Yeah, I read out to you. I didn't realize there are currently over 6,000 counselors in Malaysia. In your views, Dr. Nicole, what are ways of overcoming the resistance in some Malaysian and Asian culture that believe that counseling is so-called washing dirty linen in public?
Okay, can you repeat again, Linda? I couldn't hear so clear.
Dennis would like to know in what way that to overcome the resistance of some that believe washing dirty linen.
Okay. You'll be surprising that actually nowadays counseling services become actually quite popular, yeah, among the community. And I personally encounter that, like example, working in IMU care clinic, IMU healthcare clinic, we actually working closely with GP, psychiatric and psychologists, clinical psychologists, whenever come into cases, especially a lot of patient or client find very reluctant to see psychiatric immediately. So therefore, I will become the kind of like center person. Okay, Nicole, can you handle this case and try to see whether you can refer this case to a psychiatric. Yeah, and that's where actually I do see that that's where the counselor will come in. We actually become like a middle person, help to link, client or patient to another services. And I would say that people are generally much more open to see a counselor nowadays because they do see that it's a need to get another person, especially professional help. Of course, this professional help often it can be in private center, but also I do came across a lot of churches, a lot of NGO actually provides us support. So actually, I will not so much worry and concern that people are very resistant. Yeah, but I do came across often that they wait until the cases become so bad. Like example, thing becomes so bad. They couldn't sleep, they couldn't eat, and they only they see the counselor. And therefore, sometimes for such cases, I will need other professionals come in. So I do came across a lot of family members who are very willing to see me for couple cases, for family cases as well. Hope that answer Danny's question.
Yeah, Dr. Nicole, Dennis also asked another question here. In your opinion, what is much needed or highly marketable specialization to complement a master's in counseling?
It's difficult to really describe what is needed, but what I can see the pattern is a lot of time family only refer a case or their family member to see see the counselor, and whenever often involving a child. So often when a child are suffering, are not doing well in school, or start to have a lot of behavior problem, and I often realize that they like to start to look for help. So I would say that we do have a lot of peer attend to child cases, but you based on that, I would say that platform that easy to kind of get attention and support if you be couples and family, because that's where this group of area we do foresee more people wanted to ask for these services, and we realize that helping a child no longer just fixing the child is an issue. We start to help to fixing the family. So therefore, we have to come together to help the family to see what's going on, to provide the support needed. So I would say that presently, those who specialize into marriage and family therapy are quite popular among the mental health professional. Yeah, so that area that I do see that can be quite demanding for this moment, because it's only 2-3 centers are specialized in this area. Most of the centers are only focused a lot into children or focused into general cases, but only 2-3 centers are specialized into family and marriage therapy.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nicole. I hope it helps you, Dennis. Yeah, Mr. Tan here, he would like to know, after 3 years bachelor degree, can the student be a registered licensed counselor in Malaysia? May I add Mr. Tan here? Yeah, in Malaysia.
Yeah, so yes, Mrs. Tan, presently based on the curriculum structures and requirements set by the Board of Counselor with a degree in counseling or degree in counseling psychology do qualify this graduate. As long as this graduate come from a program that a lady received this, what we call the accreditation by the MQA, as well recognized by the LKM, the Board of Counselor. So should not be a problem to actually get licensing. The only challenge is because dealing with cases of such as suicidal, mental health cases, the expectation nowadays toward the counselor is more. So therefore, a lot of my peers would prefer to employ someone with master degree and have some form of maturity. At least they already work in the field for a few years. So therefore, I'll propose that those who have only degree in counseling do focus into building up yeah, your working experience in a certain area. It can be an NGO, it can be in school or university, because that will become a great advantage for you to look for job later in private sector. You know, among my private sector peer, many of them only take master graduate. So this is a challenge that we are facing now. We are not saying that degree counseling is not sufficient. We are saying that degree counseling are not kind of like recognized fully yet, yeah, in the way that the expectations get higher nowadays.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Yeah,
Yes,
there is a participant here by the name of User. Yeah, he or she wanted to know what is the difference between counselor and counseling psychologist. Yeah, if there's any.
Yeah, actually very tricky in addressing this one, because initially I thought it's the same. Yeah, but I realized that when I really checked into the curriculum structure that they attended, a lot of my peers who have counseling psychology background, they are much more stronger in terms of the assessment, psychological assessment. So certain psychological assessment are much more strengthened those who study counseling psychology. If you look into Malaysia, because presently we do not have any restriction or control toward who can call themselves a counseling psychologist. Yeah, but in US standard, yeah, and UK standard, to only claim yourself become a counseling psychologist if you have a counseling psychology master as a background, but you're also expected to have your PhD. Yeah, so therefore the expectation here is to become a counseling psychology in contact of overseas, for example UK as well as US. There is an expectation for you to obtain your PhD before you can call yourself as a counseling psychologist. But Malaysia, presently, there's no control. So there are a lot of my peers who graduated in counseling psychology background, they do call themselves counseling psychology. And their training is also strengthened in terms of counseling skill, but they are very strong in psychological assessment, which I do see that among the counseling graduate in this country, their counseling in terms of assessment, psychological assessment, are not as strong as those who actually train in counseling psychology. I hope that helped to answer. Yeah, like example, the IQ test, counseling psychology actually are quite strong in administrate such tests. Okay, thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Yeah, I think further to your answers to Usa here, I think Grace Wah also would like to know what are the requirements for counselors or students who graduated overseas?
Okay, yeah, as I mentioned to all of you, one of my major concerns that I have is, we hope help to see all of you. Okay, one of the major concerns I have presently actually is the a lot of our peers actually come back from what we call overseas. They find difficult to get themselves to be registered. Okay, so what I propose to them is get them in touch with the board of counselor, yeah, and ask the board of counselor what will be the expectation. Okay, in terms of example, I have peers who able to complete like certain modules when they are pursuing overseas. Yeah. Okay. What we call graduated from overseas, but they didn't fulfill, you know, the expectation of what the board of counselor want. So end up actually propose to them to actually talk to board of counselor. So what are the module actually is missing, and they can actually find out more, yeah, from the what I call the board of counselor, and try to filling up this particular module. And I do came across numbers of university in Malaysia do offer few modules offer. So if you are fall into these categories of student graduate who graduate from overseas but couldn't register license, do approach different university, included INUs, yeah, because we're going to start our Master of Counseling program, and we will be offering certain module that we plan to offer to public as well. So you were able to kind of like take up certain module as a replacement and filling up the requirements set by the board of counsel. Like this, you were able to actually get to be applied for the licensing. I hope that helped to answer your question.
Yeah, Grace. Wow, maybe there is a book called Standard of Counselor Program, produced by Lembaga, the Malaysian Board of Counselor. Maybe you can get a book, and then you can look at what program that is being recognized and accepted to become a counselor in counseling program. Yeah, thank you, Grace Hua, for your question. So, Dr. Nicole, Jin Wen here would like to know, get some advice from you about the pathway of being a registered counselor in Malaysia as a psychology graduate.
Okay, for psychology graduate who plan to pursue into Master of Counseling, I do see that you have a plus point for it because you have a lot of exposure into such psychological theoretical, and which it will enhance very easily in terms of your learning later in your master program. For me, I do see that it will be your greater advantage because you already understand a lot of theoretical aspect about psychology. So when you try to apply into human relationship as a counselor, you realize that you can process the knowledge and learning much faster compared with the others student. Yeah, so that's one thing advantage of it. You're talking about career platform. I would say very important. Do you foresee yourself would like to become a counselor? Yeah, because journey as a counselor is not just about get a license to become a professional counselor, but it's a journey to able to journey with your client who needed support and help. So I think that part would be the most important aspect you needed to answer yourself. Do you foresee yourself want to become a counselor, able to serve people who are dealing with relationship issue, stress issue, and willing to journey with them? If the answer is yes, I would say that why not? Yeah, do pursue Master of Counseling program and do look into some research into some of the Master Counseling program before you enroll, and what will be something that you foresee that you inclined to or wanted to specialize to, because certain UCT do offer, especially area of elective, help you to go into a specialization, yeah, into certain skill set, and that will help you to able to be more competent in serving certain community. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole.
Thanks, Linda.
Apparently, we still have another 15 minutes to go, but there are a lot of questions asked here. Yeah, I'll try to summarize it. Yeah. Krisa here would like to know, I think her question here is, can I become a registered counselor with Master of Arts in Psychology instead of counseling? I think Dr. Nicole has already give a length information on these topics. Shan here, he asked this question, and thank you, Shan. He said, I have a degree in law, but am thinking of transitioning to a career in counseling. Would I be able to apply to IMU to study Master of Counseling?
Of course, you can. Yeah. One thing about Master of Counseling presently in the structure that's set by the Board of Counselor, we do not have an expectation that the applicant or the student or the potential applicant to enroll to this program needed to have a degree in counseling or psychology. So actually open up to any person with a minimum of degree. Yeah, so you actually can enroll yourself into IMU program to become a counselor. And for your information, actually quite numbers of peers who actually are the lawyer end up decided to become counselor. And I do see the advantage of it. You know why? Because as a lawyer, you do came across a lot of cases like divorce. You know, you can see that a lot of couples, they basically just need someone help, you know, to mediate their relationship issue, and they realize a lot of marriage can be saved, you know, if they actually have a good mediator or counselor to assist them. So I do came across a lot of my peers who actually from law background, they end up go into counseling, and they actually often end up become a counselor who serve couples and family, because they see that how the knowledge of their law can actually provide the support needed to the client. Like myself, I was working with women group for many years, and that's where I have a lot of exposure to law. And I realized that familiar yourself with law actually give a lot of advantage as a counselor in this country. You get to know the criminal cases, you get to know dynamic of the family, get to what law say, and then how it impact the family. So yes, I'll be fully encourage you to apply. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. I hope, Christine, your question is being answered by Dr. Nicole as well, because she's asking similar question here as Shan. Grace Hua also asked another question. What about those education establishment offering American, Australia, UK program here in Malaysia? Can the student become a professional counselor within in Malaysia?
I think it's very important for you to do some research in detail about what this particular institution or colleges or university offering. Many of them claim that they can allow you to become licensed counselor, even saying that you can become licensed counselor in certain country. So normally always good to do some research, because I do came across experience, some actually claim that you can become a licensed counselor, but after they graduated, spend the money and energy, but end up they are not being recognized. So always remember, do some search of the university and check into the MQA, what we call the credential, or what we call the accreditation status. Like IMU, you can see a lot of brochure, we indicated the IMQA accreditation code. So once you indicated accreditation code from MQA and you search into the MQA website, actually indicated that so this particular program are technically run through the process of MQA. And also very important to do search and compare whether that the curriculum structure should be fulfilled to become a licensed counselor. This is like what Dr. Linda said. There's a book you can purchase from Board of Counselor. We call the program standard. So this program standard uses a guide by most of university in designing their program, including IME. We use that book as a to actually help us to design our program, make sure that particular our program when we actually offers to students can become licensed counselor. So I would say that I cannot tell you you're going to become a licensed counselor after you attend their program, but it's important for you to do some search and before you enroll it, because money, energy come in, especially from overseas one. I always ask students be very careful, because I do came across graduate from Australia, graduate from Singapore, graduate from UK. They came home and they couldn't become licensed counselor, due to not fulfilling the licensing requirements set by the Board of Counselor.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Brenda Ang would like to know how to transition from registered counselor to a clinical psychologist.
Okay. Yeah, I actually do came across, quite numbers of counseling graduate, because Malaysia do have numbers of university offer degree in counseling. So included myself, I graduated with degree in counseling before I pursued my master in counseling. So I do came across, so this group of peers who actually have degree in counseling, they actually end up what I call decided to enroll to a master in clinical psych program. And so as long as you are accepted by the university, either with your degree in psychology or degree in counseling, my understanding these two are the generally common degree that are accepted by most of the private and local university to apply to pursue into clinical psych program. But just need you to prepare. A clinical psych program here is full-time program, so you have to be willing to sacrifice, fully study 2 years to complete your master in clinical psych program. It's very difficult for you to try to complete your master in clinical psych program using part-time mode. Most of university do not encourage, they actually offer generally at the full-time one. So you can do that. But after you get your degree in psychology or counseling, and then you complete your master in clinical psych, and now you can make a choice whether you want to become a licensed counselor or you want to make a choice to become a clinical psychologist. I would say it's good for you to choose one pathway, because it's very difficult for you to play these two hats. Today I want to become a registered counselor. Another day I want to become a clinical psychologist. So sometimes the role can be quite conflicted. So I propose to you, if you're very clear and work hard in your clinical psych program, become a clinical psychologist. So and choose that platform to grow your career, because the skill set that needed as clinical psychologist are a little bit different compared with counselor. Thanks.
Thank you. There's another question here related to just now your slide talk about collaborative practice in Malaysia. So Yuna, you would like to know how does this landscape of collaborative practice in Malaysia may look like? Do you can you elaborate more, and how to encourage such practice in Malaysia?
Thank you so much for this question. after served as counsel for more than 19 years, and I started to realize that, and I learned in a very hard way to realize that it's such a key, important aspect, which I be honest with you, presently is lacking in this country. Counselors are working very silo, clinical psychologists as well, and psychiatric as well. And for me, I do become very selective in who I work with, because I cannot assume all clinical psychologists and psychiatric have similar mindset, how they believe in the cooperative practice. So I had to be quite selective who I work with, because I had to work with psychiatric who believe in this principle and philosophy. Same thing applied to the clinical psychologists. So therefore, presently, a lot is based on the effort of the counselor. But for me, I foresee it will be a need for us all to do that, because we have so few of them in this country. If we're going to just taking care of our own rice bowl, we don't want to refer the case to the clinical psychologist, though I know this case is not my forte to look after. So I will end up harm my client more than helping. So therefore, working closely in the relationship with clinical psychology and psychiatric, even social worker, it gives more plus point, because by the end of the day, your client is you get the most benefit, because she get the most care among all these people. And when we work to go closely together, clients also have less challenges to face, because they know all of us talking the same language and not conflicted with each other. And our aim is to provide support she needed to recover and to minimizing relapse. So therefore, presently a lot based on our initiative, in very much the counselor initiative. If you ask me how to go about to facilitate more, among most of the senior that I know, they are very much agree with me what I say, because I've been in touch with them. They will believe that, yes, Nicole, cooperative is the only way to go. But for those who young counselors or counselors who in the field of 5-10 years, you will have to start look into putting more effort to build network with clinical psychologists and psychiatric, because you have to get them to know you. Therefore, they know what type of skill set you have to able to serve certain patient. Yeah, so you have to kind of like thick skin a bit. Yeah, going reaching out to them. For us, I will be advocating. Hopefully, more university will be produce such education in all their curriculum structure. But for us in IMU, we are doing that, because IMU is a medical university and we believe in the same principle. We actually work with doctors, nurses, psychiatric coming together to provide support to the client. So interprofessional practice is one of the principle that we always believe in it. So therefore, our Master of Counseling program also advocating for that. And student will have exposure working with different professional, because you have to understand their language. You're able to reaching out to them. Therefore, you're able to provide more support to your client.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole.
Yes.
Encik Ahmad Hafizfuddin here. He would like to know, in terms of private practice, to him it is hard for counseling center to survive. So can just now what you talk about, Dr. Nicole, about collaborative practice, does it make it more supportive to private practice?
I would say that depend how you see it. Yes, I do agree that not easy for fresh graduate, to setting up their own center, because you will need it to kind of like build your own profile. For me, it took me years and years to build my own profile, to be recognized by peer that come to Nicole, they know what cases they refer to. So you have to put in a little bit effort to just build your own profile as a counselor. So you wanted to be well-known, a type of counselor, that what type of community that you are competent to serve. Therefore, I will always say to a lot of my students and my peer, choose an area you focus on. Because whenever come into this case, they know, okay, Nicole is the best person to refer to. So that's one is very important. And coming to second aspect, whether that is benefit to the private center with the multiple professional coming, I will say yes. Because you can see that a patient no need to go to different setting. So example, if in a center, I have a psychiatric, I have clinical psychologist, and I also have counselor, and also have marriage and family therapists. Can you see that the client basically in one what we call stop center, they get accessing to all the support they needed. Because some cases are really needed this coming together, multiple professional. Example, I talk about eating disorder. one of the very scary area of cases that most of MHP don't want to handle. Because why it's so difficult? Because people with suffering with eating disorder, the mortality is very high. So if you don't reaching out help as soon as possible, patient can just die due to the complication caused by restriction of eating. So therefore, a lot of countries setting up these multiple professionals, or we call interprofessional practice, and bringing family therapy come in, bringing counselor come in, bringing the psychiatric come in as well, and the dietitian come in, and the medical doctor come in to provide the support needed to help this young lady or young man to recover from eating disorder. You can't fix just in one area. It generally come together, yeah, to provide support needed. That's why it's the way to go. And I do see most of the few centers now start to have this initiative, but it needed a little bit more strengthening, because presently they know the concept, but to really experience and processing the concept, it need a lot of learning more to take place to able to facilitate this comprehensive concept.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Further to this, Yi Hui here, she has a question, that I think very important to bring to your attention here. She talked about she obtained her Master of Counseling from Monash University in Singapore campus. So in 2017, and since then she has not been working as a counselor, practicing as a counselor. So she came back to Malaysia and become a full-time mother, and she is wondering if she could apply for license with this 3 years gap that she is currently going through.
Okay, gap is not my concern. My concern whether that your master program that you graduated from Singapore campus fulfill the Board of Counselor licensing requirement. So maybe I'll propose to you is, as I mentioned, you can even drop me an email if you want. I'll provide you some information about the standard modules are expected. Unfortunately, it's in Bahasa Melayu, yeah. So you will have to kind of like translate in English to see whether that the transcript of master program fulfill the Board of Counselor in terms of the modules. Because Malaysia master counseling program, even the degree in counseling program, are very much follow US standard. So a lot of our structures, a lot of curriculum structure are very much follow US. We call CACRAP, yeah. So this structures. So if you are graduated from Monash, Australia, so my concern, the curriculum structures there may not fulfilling, yeah, the what we call the curriculum structures of to become licensed counselor. But not to worry, may I propose to you, go and get. You can get information, drop me an email, and I'll let you know the curriculum structure. Or you can actually go to the Board of Counsel, purchase the book, and then get them to read the requirement. And then if you do have missing module that are not fulfilled the requirement, I propose to you approach any university offer Master of Counseling in Malaysia. And then, especially if you are in Monash, you can actually even approach Monash University, see whether they're actually willing to offer, yeah, certain selective module for you to fulfill your licensing. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, if they not limit to only Monash, but numbers of university that offer Master of Counseling do provide such support as well. So I do came across number of them who couldn't fulfill the license. They actually come back to country, take few modules, do their practical, and after that actually they managed to get licensing.
Yeah, thank you. And Dao Chan here, he is wondering, how much Master in Counseling would add value to a registered counselor with bachelor degree in counseling?
Okay, thanks for the question. First is to be recognized that you are a master graduate. If you really look into most of the country, in overseas, UK, US, even Singapore or different, most of the time the expectation to become a licensed counselor is with a master degree. Malaysia has a very unique condition where in 1998 we were really much lacking of counselor. Therefore, we actually start to recognize 1998 to recognize even few of them who actually have diploma in counseling and degree in counseling to actually become licensed counselor. Yeah, so the history aspect in this country make it very unique. So you are technically recognized as a licensed counselor in this country, but to able to be recognized by the mental health peer. If you look into the way how I set, okay, example, you want to work with psychiatric, work with a clinical psychologist, and these two fields are minimum with master. Yeah, so you can see that there will be an expectation as a counselor to have that particular qualification as well. So I would say that I will be highly encourage you to consider going to a master degree. You can, if you really clear your direction, go to the area for you to specialize on. So when you become completed your master in counseling program, you already have an area that you can serve. And I do see it will add a lot of great advantage in terms of salary, in terms of recognize you as a professional among the mental health peers, especially among senior. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. The time is coming up, and I still see a lot of questions coming. Yeah, so, but I would like to address this. Maybe Dr. Nicole, you'd like to know a little bit about this. This is from Elena. She would like to know what are the specific requirements by LKM for eligibility to become registered counselor in terms of local and overseas postgrad program. So I believe that what Dr. Nicole has explained in length, yeah, may able to give you some idea, yeah, Elena. And for many others here, also related to 1U, yeah, she wanted to know, with the technology advancement and current COVID-19 crisis, online and phone counseling are getting more popular. How you see this growing trend in changing Malaysia's counseling landscape and LKM licensing requirement on face-to-face counseling?
Okay, my understanding, I actually just attended a meeting just now. Board of Counsel are not keen yet, yeah, to actually quickly recognizing online counseling, because we are still very new into this skill set of training. I would say not many of us, or maybe only few of us in this country are trained into what we call the tele-counseling. So therefore, a lot of concerns and worry that for the counselor or psychologist to go into this psychotherapy or tele-counseling. So I would say that yes, because due to the very unique condition that we are facing now, due to the movement control order, so we end up have to kind of use this as a platform to reaching out to the people that we wanted to serve. But yet, for this moment, in terms of skill set of training, we're still very new, because I personally are not, I don't take cases so easily into online, because for some cases it's difficult facilitate safety to online. Example, a couple cases I would try to avoid using couples who are high risk in fighting, physical fighting. Yeah, so if I'm going to use a tele online counseling, I may end up bring more harm to my client. So therefore, it's another skill set of training that I think all of us trying to learn, and then we hope more training will be given out and be offered to this country. But presently, we still are lacking in this area. So I would say that it's something that if circumstances you had to face, you have no choice, you have to offer that to reach out to your client. I would say that so be it. Make sure that you do a good need assessment and risk assessment, because certain cases is very high risk. It's not advisable for you to do couple or family, even one-to-one cases. But if you feel like this particular client are comfortable with face-to-face online, I'll say why not, but make sure that you have a good supervisor who are able to guide you to do the provide the support for online counseling.
Thank you. Wei Wen Lim here would like to ask more about organizational psychology as one area of specialization in counseling. Do you have anything to add here, Dr. Nicole?
Okay, this is a different type of training area, yeah, organization psychology. Organization psychology, if you foresee yourself, you would like to become a consultant and more into, targeting company, corporate world, I would say yes, organization psychology will be the better option for you rather than opt to go into counseling or become counselor. However, but if you feel like I wanted to become a counselor that I can serve patient or client into a one-to-one contact, but yet I also want to work in a corporate company. So I do have a lot of peers who as a registered counselor who also serve in corporate company, but their role will be as a service provider. So like my friend who actually worked in one of the quite a popular consultant company. So she actually worked as a counselor who provides service provide. So whenever this company come out with a project and then they need counsel to provide such psychological support, and the counselor will be online and provide support needed to the staff or to the company members who actually able to get the support needed to the project. But you see yourself that you wanted to just become a consultant organizing project, come out with program. I would say that open to study master in organization psychology would be a better option. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Lam Chia here would like to know, after she registered as a counselor in Malaysia, can she start practicing once the registration was approved?
I would say yes, technically you already can, practice as a counselor because you got your license. But it also means that you are obligated into the ethical and professional practice as a registered counselor. So I always advise for those who just got your licensing, do not just stop there. Oh, I can just serve my client, but always get a mentor or supervisor to able to provide support you needed to groom you, to become a competent counselor. Because nowadays the expectation is to have some form of supervision experience. Because if you only based on your master degree and your degree counseling itself is not sufficient, the supervision contact is not sufficient. We just talk about in US contact, supervision are expected almost like, if I'm not wrong, is for a master to become like a marriage and family therapy, the expectation is around 100 to 200 of supervision hours, which is a lot. So I would say make us like a good practice to start to look for supervisors.
In relation to this question, we make it the last one because our time is pressing. So for Masome Alawi, he wanted to know, is there any difference between local and international graduates in their application of licensing, practicing license with the Lembaga Counsellor Malaysia?
Thanks for asking this question. This is one of the questions that is important to address. As long you actually graduated from a master program or even a counseling program in Malaysia contact, and this program fulfill the licensing, fulfill the requirements set by the Board of Counselor, which you have to really check with the university that you study, and then you actually can apply licensing to become a registered counselor in Malaysia. Okay, but the only thing is you have to find a place for you to practice as a registered counselor. If I'm not wrong, the requirement for renewal are a little bit different. For local, you have to renew your licensing once in 2 years. But for international, they actually would require to renew license once a year. That's my understanding. And also very important for you to get yourself to able to find a job in a place that offer you work permit. So therefore, to apply licensing, it process will be much more easier because the Board of Counsel know that you're actually going to serve as a registered counselor in this particular setting. Okay, so that's the last question. Is that Linda?
Yes, actually not the last question, Dr. Nicole. There are still more to come, but unfortunately, because of the time limitations, I apologize to all the participants who posted your question in our chat box. We will, answer you in terms of emailing you, with your questions. Okay. So thank you so much. But let's go to Dr. Nicole.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you so much for asking all these good questions. It's really, really insightful for me as well. Hopefully our sharing will help you to have a better understanding. So quickly, just to let all of you have an idea about our clinical, what we call the, wait for one, our masters and counseling in IMU. Okay, so a quick one, just want you to be you see the way that how we design the Master of Counseling program, because we get to know this is the gap that's going on in this country. Therefore, the way how we design the program, we cater for the need to fulfill this expectation in the community. So you can take a look. This is the area where we have very experienced counselor who will be teaching, and then we also offer an area of specialty. Family counseling, crisis and trauma, grief counseling, expressive art, and we also actually very active. IMU very active in community work. Yeah, something that we're very proud of as IMU members. And every year we have one major project, just to cater for this what we call IMU Care project. And of course, one thing that very unique about our program, it will be this one I want to highlight, is the ready platform to practice, because we're working closely with healthcare clinic as well as some of the established center, and to provide the support needed to make sure students have this particular what we call cooperative practice experience. So by then you usually finish this program, you basically a lady have exposure how to work with different multiple professional or interprofessional to provide support to your patient and client. Okay, very fast for this one. I know that more questions to ask, wanted to find out more. So if you wanted to get to know our program, so here will be the contact that you can actually basically sign up for this event. We're usually going to have this Meet the Faculty event. This will be very much like a consultation session with the faculty, just specific addressing our program, answer your query. And we also, you can also can contact IMU marketing or admission team to get to know about this program. If you're able to put IMU Master of Counseling, you're able to get the link as well. And then of course you can even email to us. I also leave the email address here, yeah, for you to refer to. My understanding, this video is this session is recorded, so if I'm not wrong, you actually will be able to access to this video as well, so you can actually get more information to the video later. Okay, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that, your time. Yeah, and very honored to spend this afternoon with all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Okay, take care. Stay healthy, stay well. Okay, bye.